Over 2 decades ago, when WTO members allowed the People's Republic of China to join the WTO, the expectation was that China would gradually eliminate its protectionist policies that did not conform with the WTO rules. However, it has become evident that the CCP has no intention to fulfilling the reform commitments it made 2 decades ago. Instead, it purely used its WTO membership status to become the largest trading nation and the world's second largest economy, while exerting even greater control over all of China's trade partners, engaging in unfair competition with other countries and causing harm to the labor and businesses of various nations. Hi everyone, this is Stan, your favorite Polish Taiwan YouTuber. Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome to today's show. Today let's discuss how China is using the WTO as the next battlefield against Taiwan. If you've been watching this channel, back in April this year, we discussed that the Chinese Communist Party, without a warning, out of the blue, declared a trade barrier investigation on over 2,000 Taiwanese products. At the time, many experts speculated that the CCP would deliberately extend the investigation period as one of its methods to meddle with public opinion in Taiwan. As expected, on October 9th, the Chinese Communists officially announced the extension of the investigation period until the day before Taiwan's presidential election, which is January 12th. Their intention to interfere in the elections is quite obvious. So, what is the trade barrier investigation? Some viewers may not be very familiar with it, so let me explain briefly. If a country imposes certain regulatory restrictions on imported goods from abroad, making it impossible for those goods to compete fairly in the country through a regular trade, these regulatory restrictions create trade barriers for foreign goods. Therefore, an investigation is conducted to determine whether restrictions imposed by this country comply with the rules of the World Trade Organization, or the WTO. Of course, the CCP's behavior is clearly driven more by political motives than surface-level trade issues. Prior to launching the trade barrier investigation against Taiwan, they had always used various pretexts to impose sudden import restrictions on Taiwanese agricultural and industrial products. For example, products like pineapples and sugar apples, which are called in Mandarin shijia, from Taiwan, were often banned citing pest issues just before the harvest season, while the same batch of goods sold to Japan had no pest problems at all. This demonstrates that imposing those trade import restrictions by the Chinese government on Taiwan is just a form of political pressure. These tactics are used as retaliation whenever Taiwan gains international recognition or achieves diplomatic breakthroughs. In fact, other countries have also been subjected to similar pressure from the CCP. For instance, in 2020, Australia had a trade dispute when Chinese authorities imposed a 212% tariff on Australian wine. There were also allegations that Australian barley had pests, and don't forget about 80.5% anti-dumping and anti-subsidy duty on Australian barley exports, and also a ban on Australian coal that resulted in rolling blackouts in various Chinese provinces. All these actions were taken in response to Australia's call for an independent investigation into the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. At the same time, the Chinese government understands that Taiwan has a very close trade relationships with it, and it has a certain level of control over the public discourse regarding essential goods in Taiwan. This means that they can provide a significant space for maneuver into the pro-CCP political parties until the last day before the elections in Taiwan. Additionally, the CCP is also laying the groundwork to block Taiwan's entry into the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, IPEF. If China can find any reason to demonstrate the WTO that Taiwan had imposed trade barriers, it is highly likely that they will hinder Taiwan's progress in joining the CPTPP and IPEF as well. But what's ironic is that the CCP itself has been strongly criticized by the WTO members in the past. Over 2 decades ago, when WTO members allowed the People's Republic of China to join the WTO, the expectation was that China would gradually eliminate its protectionist policies that did not conform with the WTO rules. However, it has become evident that the CCP has no intention to fulfilling the reform commitments it made 2 decades ago. Instead, it purely used its WTO membership status to become the largest trading nation and the world's second largest economy, while exerting even greater control over all of China's trade partners, engaging in unfair competition with other countries and causing harm to the labor and businesses of various nations. These unfair practices include market access restrictions, investment limitations, massive subsidies leading to ongoing overproduction, preferential treatment for state-owned enterprises, discriminatory regulatory requirements, national standards that are different from the other countries, therefore making it almost impossible to comply, data access restrictions, violations of intellectual property rights, cyber theft, the use of competition law for industrial industrial policy purposes, and the use of forced labor in several industries, just to name a few. The above-mentioned policies demonstrate that the PRC is an unfit bully to remain in the World Trade Organization, and it is constantly misusing the WTO system to politically interfere in trade of other countries. At the same time, the People's Republic of China has been using the Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement (ECFA) to erode Taiwan's industries. Industries and products listed in the early product list signed between Taiwan and China are actually at risk of having dangerously low profits due to market competition in China, whereas similar or identical products exist, leading to Taiwanese companies not earning anything, while their Chinese counterparts get large tax rebates. Taiwanese businesses also have to deal with competition from China's state-driven supply chains. Therefore, the reduced tariffs in the early product list may very well provide no actual benefits to Taiwan. For example, due to the signing of the ECFA agreement with China and the theft of agricultural technology, Taiwanese groupers, it's a type of fish, didn't bring any profit on the Chinese market, but have also led to China dumping its grouper fish into Taiwan. Meanwhile, the ECFA is constantly used by the People's Republic of China to exert pressure on any diplomatic actions by Taiwan. For instance, in August, when Taiwan's Vice President Lai Ching-te visited the friendly nation of Paraguay with a layover in the United States, the CCP immediately announced on August 17th that they had preliminarily determined Taiwan's trade restriction measures constituted trade barriers, implying a threat to suspend and partially suspend the related tax benefits of the ECFA. And the Taiwan Affairs Office, which is the CCP governmental organization, quickly expressed its support for the actions of the Chinese Ministry of Commerce. While analyzing that situation, we have to always look into Taiwan's Foreign Trade Bureau, which is under the Ministry of Economic Affairs. How has it taken a proactive stance? For example, in April, they announced rules regarding imports from China and stated that if the imported goods do not pose a threat to Taiwan's national security and do not cause significant harm to Taiwan's domestic industries, they can be freely imported. Furthermore, if the Chinese authorities believe that there are trade barriers in place, they should engage in bilateral negotiations, activate multilateral dispute resolution mechanisms, or take other appropriate measures. Additionally, the economic trade relationships between Taiwan and China are important for both sides and are a crucial part of regional and global supply chains. Taiwan is willing to negotiate and discuss trade-related issues with the People's Republic of China without preconditions. However, the above-mentioned measures can only be considered defensive against the Chinese Communist Party's actions against Taiwan. To avoid the PRC's use of trade barrier investigation to pressure Taiwan, Professor Tsai Ming-fang of the Tamkang University's Department of Industrial Economics suggested that Taiwan could follow the example of the European Union's anti-coercion legislation. To prevent incidents of trade coercion by China, like what happened in Lithuania, the European Parliament passed the anti-coercion instrument legislation in early October, which is a crucial part of the European Union's economic security framework. The Taiwanese government and Taiwanese businesses should take this as a reference and ensure that industries listed in the early list of the Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement, ECFA, do not become tools that the Chinese Communist Party can use to economically coerce Taiwan. So once again, it's very important to stay vigilant because the CCP's actions have no limit. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like the video, please press like, subscribe and share. This is Stan. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.